We're Journals Out Loud from the Journals Network. I am Louise Palanker, your lovely and captivating host, here with a panel of very wise and extremely wonderful teenagers.
I've been out there wandering.
That's right. I've been out there wandering. I've been in here wondering about all kinds of stuff. And so here's where you get to talk about it. Just talk and dance. That's what we do on this show. It's your new favorite podcast. Aren't you happy you found us? So on the panel today, we've got Ryan, Maddie, Josh, Ken, and Jake. Jeff's here. Let's see, who's in the booth today? We've got Aaron, Matt, Trish, Andrew. Who else is on this street? Let's just keep listing people.
Bob's just walking his dog.
Jonathan and Lisa.
The mailman's coming by.
So, anyone have any exciting news to report? Does anyone have a very interesting... A lot of car accidents this week, it feels like.
A lot of terrorist attacks.
Holiday weekend.
This whole
So.
week.
Yeah.
Really sad.
There's a kid that I work with that spits water into my face because he thinks it's hilarious.
That is pretty funny.
That
I got
is,
some.
I
Where
agree.
do you
That
work?
is-
But I don't want
I
him...
work at Tom Sawyer Camps, and there's this little kid, JJ, who's like fascinated
Of course,
by
his name is JJ.
leg hair, armpit hair, and getting water in his mouth from the pool and then spitting in your face.
That is summer fun right there.
It is just...
That doesn't
How
really
old is
happen.
From the
JJ?
summer of a lifetime.
How old is... Oh, he's 6.
But it is the funniest thing ever.
That doesn't happen at my job.
Oh, it doesn't? Where do you
No.
work,
You're missing
Maddie?
out, okay?
No.
You're missing out on all the fun.
I'm an intern at a criminal defense firm.
I could come by and spit
No
water in
one
your face if
spits
you want.
water?
It would be weird if
No.
that
You're
did
working
happen at
with
your
the
job.
wrong
No one
criminals.
spits
No.
water.
There's this fish at the aquarium that spits water at me every day, and I'm mad.
We have a theme.
Does
Is
he
his name
also
JJ?
play with your
I'm
armpit
mad.
hair?
JJ.
Does
You
he
should
also-
rename
like this
him
puffer
JJ.
fish. He goes.
The
be
dog
the
I was walking
funniest
has a
thing
lot
ever.
of fur on its face. Because I walk this guy's dogs like that. I just help him with stuff, and he hates walking his dog, so I do that. And they have a lot of hair, and so that gets like sweaty, and then they drink their water, and it gets it, and when it tries to play with you, and then it gets it all over your face. So that's like kind of similar.
That's
Is
awesome.
That's my
its
connection.
name JJ?
No, it's Otis.
Damn it.
But
Proud to be
no, it's
JJ.
Oscar. Wow,
So
I really
everyone
screwed
is
that
having
up.
an excellent summer. Some of the kids who... See how I tied that all in, Jeff? Right, it was my segue, right? So the kids who write in, not so much. Deeper problems
Boom
than-
roasted. You just
than 6-year-old pool spit. So Ken,
Phenomenal.
would you like to read the first question?
I would love to read the
I
first
took the name. I
question.
took the name anonymous off of all the questions because there was a certain redundancy attached to it. So if you see a screen name, there's a screen name. Other than that, it's just the person wants to remain
Anonymous.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ken.
All right. So the first question is from Anonymous. So there is this friend of mine who's 3 years older than me. About 2 weeks ago, I figured out that I liked him as more than a friend. 10 days ago, he moved to another country, and I've been so upset. I haven't slept, and I think of him all the time. Nothing has helped me. I'll end up coming across a picture of him, or I see the spot we first met at the gym, or I literally just hear someone say a phrase he used to say, and I'll start thinking of him again. It's just nonstop. I don't know what to do. Boom.
So, first off, there's a lot of advice that someone could give for this question, and the first thing is that it's really hard to give any advice without knowing your age, because then we can't know how much of an age gap we're looking at and where this age gap is sitting, because the age gap advice is very different for someone who is 12 and looking at a 15-year-old, or someone who is 20 and looking at a 23-year-old. That is very different advice.
So let's just, for the sake of this conversation, go with 15 and 18.
Okay.
All right, Ryan.
Well, I would just say that I don't even think that it's that important in this context, because they're more asking about how to handle the emotional repercussions of him leaving, and not so much how to handle. They're not trying to navigate a relationship with this person or decide if that's the right route to go. I think they're just
Also
trying
true.
to
Well played.
deal
Very
with
true.
this problem. So I would say that it does suck, and it's hard. And as you'll learn with any type of heartbreak, like those feelings, they kind of stay around for a while, and then slowly they start to subside. And everyone will tell you time is the only thing. And I know it really sucks to hear, because you can't speed up time and you don't see the results immediately, but you just have to work with yourself and allow yourself to deal with the pain and then move forward. Jake?
Yeah, this is lost in kind of the lamest way, where like you don't have some big emotional turmoil that like you're going to grow from as a person. You just have to deal with like missing them a lot, and that's good for you. Having to deal with that is a thing that you're going to need to learn in your life, but you also don't get any like fun, crazy stories that kind of like you get to tell to friends or anything like that. Josh?
Yeah, I really agree with like just time is going to be the only thing that really passes this over. And I just want to point out that you said about 2 weeks ago you figured out you like them and that 10 days ago he moved. So I think it could even be more of like this is somebody you're really close with that you realize that they're leaving and that that's what's upsetting you, not because you have feelings for them. I don't know like if that's necessarily I can't tell you what you feel so either, but I just think that you just need to take time to yourself and really try to stay friends with this person. Maddie?
But it's really hard to lose someone regardless of whether or not you like them in a romantic way. Even just a
Yeah.
friend that moves away, that's really, really hard. Kenneth?
Yeah, it's kind of just like the same thing over and over again that we're all going to say, which is it sucks a lot. It's like you're going to need time, but just don't think that it's a bad thing that you miss them because it's not. That just shows that you're a human being and that's not a bad thing at all. And just learn that it's going to suck, but like over time it's going to make you stronger as a person when you deal with like other situations.
And if I can take us back in time to middle school, Ryan, when I went to boarding school, it was really hard because I was away from my parents and I was away from my friends. So I pretty much lost everyone I knew. And I had minimal contact with them. I could talk to my parents once a week on the phone and email them here and there, but that was it. My friends, I had to write letters. So that was
sent you a
snail
letter,
mail.
Brian.
You did. It took me 3 days to decode your handwriting. I had to rewrite it on a new piece of paper next to it. But the point is, it was really hard. And then I had to get to a point where I understood that I was going to be sad about it, but I had an entire day in front of me to occupy with something, and I didn't want that to be just sitting there and missing someone. And it's okay to miss them. It doesn't mean you have to go do other things and forget about it, but you just have to occupy yourself and not allow yourself to wallow in that. Kenneth?
Yeah, one more thing is that with situations like these, you can't take it as something to bring you down because that's something that a lot of people take things that don't go their way. Because I did this research paper on happiness, and if it's a choice or if it's something that you're just kind of like born with, like you're just like born a happy person, and some people just don't get that. But people can disagree with me, and actually there's a question later that talks about this. But my thesis was that it's a choice, and that if you like actually put in the effort to try to take the bad things that happen to you as lessons learned than actual take it personally. That's the best way I put it. But that actually makes you stronger as a person. So with this question, don't take it personally and try not to dwell on it for too long and take it as a lesson to help you with other life things.
Agreed.
I'd like to add a couple of points. One is that I think maybe learning that this person was moving away may have romanticized the person in your mind. Also, this person is 3 years older, so that kind of makes the person sort of a celebrity when you because the way that kids look up to older people. And then the other thing is that love is an addiction, and when someone loves you back, it's a good addiction, and it's addiction that we're all kind of prone to, and that we all want to achieve a healthy, loving relationship. But in the absence of the person, it's an addiction that you have to get over. So even just a little of the person is like trying to have just a little bit of heroin. And I hate to make that analogy or that comparison, but if you really want to get over this guy and have a great summer, don't look for him online. Don't let things remind you of him. Hide all the things he gave you or put them up in a closet shelf and just say, I just need to cold turkey this dude and go talk to other people, because the world is full of people who aren't him and they're awesome. Brian.
Yeah, you drawing that comparison like to heroin, and you said I don't want to, but there's a scientific like backing to that, because I just got through a breakup and I read everything there was to read about it, and so there were a lot of neurological comparisons to going through cocaine withdrawal and heartbreak. So I just wanted to put out there that it actually is a thing. It's not just some abstract comparison Weezy's drawing.
Right. I think some endorphins that are firing, and Jake knows a lot about science, would be probably pretty similar in the mind when one feels like they're in love. Jake.
Lots of brain stuff is happening. Lots of sciencey brain stuff.
Sure.
And it's similar to when you take drugs.
Yeah.
There
Excellent.
you go.
We are Journals Network, Journals
Science
Out Loud
talk.
on the Journals Network, and you can give us a call if you'd like to talk about any of this. Write down this number, because I may only say it once or 10 times if you would listen to the whole show and keep track of. You can count how many times I say the number and then give me a call and let me know how many times I said the number. We are at 888-531-7171. We would love it if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel, Journals Network on YouTube. We are also in the iTunes store if you would like to leave a review. That helps other kids find the show and helps other kids get the help that you're getting. Not only help, but like, come on, entertainment. And what a good-looking group of kids right here.
I mean, come on, Weezy, I'm right here.
Yeah, that you get to, and if you're just listening to this show, imagine the best-looking kids that you could imagine, because that's what's right here.
Just 4 Brad Pitts just sitting in chairs.
Yup. Maddie?
Excuse me.
Yep.
You're Brad Pitt also.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
Maddie, would you like to read...
It's a good look for you.
Maddie.
Yes.
Beautiful Maddie. Would you
Oh.
like to read the question from Cecilia?
Sure.
Sure.
Me and my best friends are all 16. We were recently at one of their houses celebrating end of exams, and I got with her 14-year-old little brother. My friend doesn't care. She was egging us on. But would other people find it weird that he's so young?
You don't need to... Sorry. This is going to sound kind of weird, but you don't need to dwell on it that much. If it's something that you did and your friend's not making a big deal about it, you don't necessarily need to
Can I
make
ask a
big deal
question,
about
though? Like, what does she mean by got with?
That's exactly
She
what
probably
it
kissed him would be my guess. At
Yeah.
that age, she
Yeah.
probably hooked
Yeah,
up
I'm
with
going
him.
to
Okay.
guess like
Made out would be my guess.
Okay.
smooshy kissing.
All right, well,
Probably
happy
like
day for
the-
him. Best summer
I know.
ever.
Like that with his
Run
older
away.
sister's friend. That's like...
Ryan?
No, I was just gonna say that, like, yeah, exactly that. Like, will other people find it weird? Maybe, but who cares, really?
Yeah.
I mean, like, if you're dating him, that's a different situation because you have this relationship that people might be judging, but you're not. You did a thing with him, and everyone has an opinion on everything. Like, some people find very normal things weird. Some people find weird things very normal. What does it matter? Just your friend doesn't care. So, Jake?
Yeah, we actually did the math before the show about this one, and if you're dating this person, if you're 15 or if you're 16, the lowest you can actually go is 15. But you're not dating, and I feel as though when you're not dating, it's a whole different
Explain
range.
that rule, though, just because people might not
yeah,
get that.
makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah.
You're supposed to divide your age in half and add 7, and that is the lowest age of a person that you are allowed to be actually like romantically involved with. But if you make that a complicated quotesy word, it can extend the range depending on what it is.
Hashtag Kenneth's face.
If you multiply it by
Because
2, divide it by
he's doing
pi.
a lot of math right
maybe
now
add
on a
3.
lot of girls.
I was like, whoa. Oh, no. Oh, no. What have I done?
No, I was just going to say, I had a really strong reaction when I first read this question that like, oh, like this is so not okay. And then after like talking about it a little bit, like with the rest of the group, I was kind of like, I don't really know why I had such a strong reaction to it. I think for me, it was the fact that it was the friend's sibling. For me,
yeah.
I think that's where the strong reaction was coming from, is that it was like the friend's little brother. And the weird part for me was that the sister was egging on.
But you know
And-
that there's kisses like this that happen in
like
hallways
that's so
in homes
strange.
all over
Like
the
my closest friend since preschool and my brother dated. Like, and I didn't find that weird. So why am I finding this weird? I don't know. Like, Ryan.
Well, I would just say that it doesn't matter, and that's my point. Is I'm not
doesn't.
answering this question saying it is weird or isn't weird. I'm saying, who cares? Maddie
doesn't-
finds it
it
weird.
doesn't
I don't
matter.
find it weird, and
It
your friend doesn't
isn't
find it
that
weird. That's what's
weird.
important. But it doesn't matter. Do you
It's
see what I'm
not
saying?
that
No, no,
weird.
I know, but like if they're listening to it and they're like, okay, but like they still think it's weird. Like imagine if you're hearing your question be answered.
No, I get it. I
and,
get it.
And like there's 2 people being like, it doesn't matter, and everybody else is like, it's kind of weird. Like I just wanted, like, my opinion is that it doesn't.
Right.
It's
I
not
second
weird.
that.
Yeah,
but don't worry about what
Don't-
people think.
yeah,
yeah,
like it
but
doesn't
Jake-
matter, but I don't know why I reacted to it.
Yeah, but I do.
The
I
thing
do.
that would make it
And we're about
I
to
mean,
learn
it's
why.
the reason you reacted to it is the reason we're discussing it. Because it's
Yeah.
worthy of conversation, Jake.
But in the question kind of answers itself that the sibling of I don't.
It's her
know-
friend who's
Okay.
the sister of this brother.
Yeah, the sister was fine with it and in fact encouraging it, and that means that there's not a problem because that would be the
Yeah.
possible problem.
That would be the only
I think
issue
I
with it.
missed
Is,
that.
like the sibling not being okay with it,
So-
and the fact that
and
she
you
was.
have to
Yeah.
trust them that they're okay with it because they told you that.
That's the part
Maddie?
for me is I didn't trust that.
See what I think what you're reacting to is that if you were 14 and Benji knew that some friend of his had kissed you in a hallway, he would kind of have a little bit of a meltdown. Like he
No, he wouldn't.
Well-
Benji does not care. Benji could not care less what happened.
when you were
to me.
14.
No, I'm
What
serious.
happens
He
to
literally
you?
doesn't care.
What happens to you? Like you're gonna die, and
No,
he's
he
just
really
gonna.
doesn't
Who
care.
is he?
This is so sad.
He's like, oh, okay. Like, all right.
I could see a brother being a little. If you
He's
had
reached Nirvana.
Benji, if you're anywhere, just give us a call. It's 888
He doesn't care enough to
531
call.
7171.
Josh,
Call us,
you
Benji.
you're 16 and you have a 14-year-old sister and you find out that your buddy kissed her. You might be a little protective, correct? A boy would be a little bit protective, right?
Yeah, I would think they'd be a little bit protective.
Yeah.
But like, so this is sisters.
Well, I
though.
just-
It's
I
girls
know, but
and
I-
the younger brother.
I was assuming that you were reacting to how you can imagine it would have been in your
Maybe.
household if that had
I
happened.
think
but
for me, like, because with girls, I just would have assumed that girls would lie and say that it was okay and really feel like it wasn't okay.
oh, there's
Like
that.
they would say, "Oh yeah, no, it's totally fine. Go, do it. That's cute. Go, and like it would totally not be okay with her, and she would say it was. But yeah, Ryan, go.
I think that I agree with you, and I see that side of it. If it had happened, she had told her friend, and her friend was like, "Oh yeah, don't worry, it's not a big deal." But the fact that she was egging it on in the moment, they were all there, and she pushed it to happen, really leads me to believe that she actually was okay with it.
But that's what leads me to think that she wasn't.
Well, I
Because-
think
So
that,
why
but
would
you-
she egg them on?
Girls
I
aren't.
don't know.
No, I mean, like, some girls are logical all the time, but other
Oh,
ones
you
are
better
not.
step very
No,
Yeah.
but you have, but I just think that if you're in a social situation like where something is happening around you that either makes you uncomfortable or doesn't, you're not going to push it to happen because it's just. It's so raw that I don't think anyone gives it that much thought in the moment. I think when you're told what's going on and you're like, I don't care, that might be like, do you see what I'm, does that make
But
sense?
I
It's an
think, like,
abstract thought here,
In
I
the
guess. but-
moment, maybe she was just like, I don't want to like seem uncool. Like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna let it happen. Like, okay.
But she didn't just let it happen. She
But
encouraged
Jake-
it to happen.
And
That's the distinction.
They
I'm
had
making.
this conversation. As the friend, your only obligation is to have this conversation about whether it is okay or not. And they had it, and they didn't just get a yes. They got like an enthusiastic yes. So as the
Right.
friend, you are fine.
Yeah.
If there's a deeper issue where you said you were, where the friend said it was okay with it, and they weren't actually okay with it, that's on them, and they'll work it out
Oh, yeah.
eventually.
No, the friend has done nothing wrong. The
Yes.
friend who actually made it, like what the two people did, nothing but
Yeah.
wrong happened there.
So we're
I'm just
chilling.
questioning whether or not like the friend of the.
Well, if
like,
you're the friend, call us
the-
and let us know because
Yeah.
we don't know.
Hey,
We're
no,
not
we're
gonna-
number
confused.
is
We have to assume the truth.
531
Call it 888
7171.
Thank you, Ken.
Can we have all of us say the number different, synchronized, so we can't?
Jake,
no one's
Ken,
unintelligible.
just go
Yeah.
down the line.
1, 2, 3.
888.
888
531
7171.
It's
okay,
I would
we'll
like
fix
to
it in
say
post.
something on behalf of
888-531-7171.
Okay, I would like to say something on behalf of the little brother because the truth is, or the facts are, you've kissed the kid. So if you're not dating, he may deserve some sort of explanation as to what as to what happened.
If he asks, he deserves an explanation. If he doesn't ask, he doesn't deserve anything.
You scum. You don't deserve
Not like
anything.
that, but-
like, you've gotten a kiss. What more do you want?
So you don't think
Yeah,
that
he's 14.
you don't think
he
that a
kissed his
kid
sister's friend.
so a kiss can just happen in a vacuum with no
I'm worried about the
Yeah.
14-year-old
No,
that
but
he's
no.
going to
no
overthink
follow-up
it.
letter. Thank you for the kiss. I really hope to hear from you. Like a job
Oh
interview.
my God, he's going to
Oh.
start leaving like basket of eggs.
I mean,
and,
to me,
like-
a kiss is a thing that
Eggs.
No, it
Alright.
is, but I
have
just
you not
it's
seen the
not that
movie
he wouldn't
Flipped?
want an explanation.
No.
You've never seen the movie Flipped?
I have. It's
Only
excellent.
you.
Rob Reiner.
I don't know who.
His daughter's weird. Okay, we're gonna move
But
on.
anyways,
Sorry.
But so the fact, like, two things. One, you should not overthink it because I feel like you will put yourself in a way worse situation if you do. But second of all, to all the talk about like, because I agree with you everywhere except to the part where these are 16-year-old girls and they are not upfront at all.
Oh, but
Yeah.
that's on them. But that's life. Like when you do stuff and it bites you, that's how you learn. And it's there. I think that they deserve all the pain that comes from not being upfront.
But it's better to underthink it than
Whoa.
overthink it.
But
like
you came,
about this
you came from
subject.
such a rational position and ended at such an
No, no, no,
irrational.
You deserve all
conclusion.
your
But it's
pain.
the most like Darwinistic, like just like I think that when you make mistakes, that's how you learn, and that's what child development is. When you realize that every time you don't tell someone what's bothering you, and it will continue to bother you, you learn to tell people when things are important enough that they bother you.
But then they turn into people that are like,
And
that
that's-
feel entitled to be mad at you just because.
And that's okay. And then they get no friends, and then they learn from that. You know what I mean? Like that's adolescence is messing things up, and
I
then
get what you're
learning how
saying,
to
and I
fix
agree
them
with
and,
it.
like
The
bettering yourself as a
Darwinism
person.
slope.
This is social Darwinism. That's what he's
Oh,
describing.
man.
Well played.
Yeah.
I mean,
Slumber parties are dangerous, kids.
it's
They
good.
are. Don't go. Just stay at home with your Netflix.
But if you have any stories,
Stay at home.
call
with the
888
531
7171 and we will
71.
solve your problems.
You can also download the Journals Network app. It is in the iTunes App Store, and you can put it on your iPad or your iPhone, and you can be a person who has the app and knows that you are connected to
No
people
phone
who
numbers
care.
required.
But you can get it tattooed on your
Yeah,
arm.
and you can have a screen name like
And the
Anonymous.
number you will tattoo is
Oh, yeah.
7171.
Okay, so the first kid to get a henna tattoo of our phone number, take a picture of it, and post it to Instagram and hashtag Journals Network, that person wins a prize.
I thought you were going to encourage them to get a real
To be
tattoo.
determined.
Oh.
This is the best contest ever, right, Jake?
It actually kind of
Undetermined
is. I'm
prize,
not gonna
maybe.
lie.
Undetermined
I'm so
prize.
excited for this. But
I'm-
a henna tattoo, guys.
A henna tattoo.
Henna tattoo.
Yeah, of
Question,
888-5317.
Is anyone on the panel allowed to win that prize?
Heck yeah.
Jake, I want you to
Yes.
be my henna tattoo
That's
artist.
unfair, though.
Jake,
Appropriate
because otherwise
placement
no one's
required.
winning the contest.
Can I get a tongue?
People
inner
don't
lip
listen to
tattoo?
this show.
I want an inner lip tattoo of the phone number.
Oh,
No.
just-
Nice,
God.
Ryan.
wow, this got
Okay.
far.
It's gonna
We
be
got
very
really
attractive.
far.
We need to rein it
Yeah.
back in.
So-
guys.
It's very important that your mother continue to wish to speak to me. So no. All right, this letter comes from someone. I've been told you can just choose to be happy, sad, or mad about something. I don't really understand that. How can people choose how they feel? Right, guy.
This question is my entire life. Because when I was young, and part of the reason I went off to boarding school is because I had a lot of trouble where my emotions controlled me, and I didn't control them. And controlling your emotions is totally a thing. It's really hard to do. I can't always do it. Almost no one can always do it. I guess you would that'd be considered like what like monks are trying to do, and like this, you know what I mean? Like these, like finding peace and whatnot. So no one's perfect at it. And Wheezy, we talked about this, and I talked to some random dude on Reddit when I posted about some stuff I was having trouble with, and he gave me some advice, and it was similar. You talked about primary and secondary emotions.
Right.
And so you can't control whether or not you're going to be your primary emotion, your initial reaction to something. If something bad happens to you, generally you're going to be sad. You can control how you react to that, and that reaction is going to shape how you continue to feel going forward. So one example that the guy gave me is nostalgia is being happy about being sad. Recalling a fond memory you no longer have and choosing to be happy about having that memory rather than being sad about losing it. It's not always a conscious decision. It's a lot of gray area because emotions aren't black and white. Like you can't define what it really means to be happy or sad, and it's hard to put. We use these labels, but they're very intertwined. So it's not always so black and white, but to some degree, it's learning how to react to your emotions. And so I guess you can't control that initial reaction, but how you respond is what you really is going to shape how you work with it going forward.
Jakey, dude.
Oh, I was just going to make the smart alecky with science we will eventually define everything comment,
Mm-hmm.
but that is not productive to the conversation.
But I mean,
so
everyone-
I decided not to, but then I got called out on it, so now I'm making it anyway.
Well,
Well,
everyone
I was going to
experiences
make the
differently,
snarky comment that since this topic was so important to Ryan, that he should get a henna tattoo of this question on his on his inner lip, and that would have been just as snarky, maybe snarkier.
Can I give a
Ooh.
really annoying like Indian folklore? It's like 5 seconds.
Yes.
I don't even know the whole thing, but it was something my dad sent me when I was at school, like at the last 3 weeks of school, and I was having a rough time. And it's some story about some kid who's asking the chief for something, and then there's two wolves. There's an evil wolf and there's a good wolf, and then they're like fighting in his head, and it's like this internal battle. And he asks like which wolf will survive, and the guy says the one you feed. And so it's whichever. So whether if you feed into those positive emotions, that if you like encourage yourself to smile about things that you once experienced instead of crying that you're no longer experiencing them, it starts to become the mindset you have for that problem.
How do you guys feel about how music can affect mood, and if it can, is it when you're sad, Ryan? Because I know that you've been sad, you've been through a breakup recently. Is it better to listen to sad music that confirms your mood, or is it better to listen to something that's going to make you dance around?
It depends. So like when I'm in my car and I'm driving to hang out with my friends, I put on like when I would be sad, I'd be putting on like angry, like aggressive rap music, because I'm not trying to show up at Khalil's house with tears running down my face and ruin our day when we're going to go have fun.
That's how I go over.
Every time you visit
Everywhere I go, it's just angry rap music.
But when I'm at home and I'm just going to sleep, or I'm in my room and I have the opportunity to just be myself with my own emotions, then I'll listen to some sadder songs, and that. So it's just.
Is that healing though to do that?
Absolutely.
Like when you
Both are healing.
when you're not going over to Khalil's, is it healing to just be like, oh, this song speaks to my heart?
If you're sad, but don't listen to them and let them make you sad.
Okay, Jake.
Yeah, it depends on the song too, because the artists themselves may have been going through their own rough patch and have gotten through it and have that additional perspective, and it might be like injecting perspective into your brain about how this. Like it depends on whether or not the song is like going to try to make the listener sad or encouraged about a sad situation that they're moving on from. Kind of.
Yeah, but there are definitely two sides to that coin, where it's like, yeah, if you need to like let out some emotions, it's good to listen to sad music, but it's like the same thing where like if you do that, the sadness might control you and like can make you more sad. But if you listen to happy music, you're gonna be like, I hate happy music. Like, this sucks. Why are you even happy?
Yeah,
right
like
now?
when you're
But at the
going through
same
a
time,
breakup,
like-
you don't really want to listen about some happy couple. Like that just pisses you off. Like,
Yeah.
so I
You
get
want to
it.
listen to "Cry Me a River" from Justin Timberlake because it's like, yeah,
Well,
That's-
I listen to the River by Bruce Springsteen on repeat like 400 times, but
and that's
there's this game that you can play with your friends, and it's not about sadness, but I'm drawing a comparison here, where one person, they get like 10 people, and one person just starts fake laughing, just hysterically, and everyone joins in, and eventually you're all actually laughing because the situation is just so awkward, and like it turns into real laughter. And so that's part of like that idea of like controlling emotions. So if you listen to a happy song and allow yourself to enjoy it, and it's not a very like definite thing I can say, you just, because it's not, there's no science to it, and everyone experiences it differently, but learning how to allow yourself to enjoy something positive when you're sad is the way you get out of a funk. And you do it, everyone does it. It's just about learning to choose when it happens instead of letting it happen on the time frame that of the course you're on.
okay. So the song that gets you out of a funk and why?
Can we start at that side so I can?
I don't understand the question.
what is music? I don't.
What?
I don't understand.
Is there a song that you listen to that just raises your mood?
What are these human emotions? I am confused.
anger.
But you like the Pokemon love theme.
There's a Pokemon CD called To Be a Master with 2 and then the letter B, Master. And I owned it as a child, and I will never apparently be forgiven for having owned it as a child.
It was adorable. All right. Is there a song that will always lift your spirits?
I have like an album that like it's such a good album, and it's called Currents by Tame Impala. It's like so good. And it's like it has to do with like breakup, but at the same time, it's not like sad music. It's like such good music, and when you listen to it, like, oh, this song's so cool, and then you listen to the lyrics, and you're like, whoa, this is like really good. And it's just covers all the bases, and it's awesome, and it makes me always feel better.
Good choice, Josh.
I mean, I just listen to like shuffle, and then like usually something comes on, and I just listen to it repeatedly over and over again for days.
Mm-hmm.
So
Until I
it's
hate it,
not,
and then
until I,
don't listen
I
to
don't
it for
know,
a year.
Shuffle's
Yeah,
a really
pretty
good
much.
song.
So
I love that song. Maddie?
I could not pick. There's like no
Too
way
many?
I could pick a song because it changes too much.
How about one song that you have that has helped you before?
Yeah, that's a good question.
You know what, Ryan? You go first and then come back to me.
Party Like a Rock Star. No, probably Glory Days by Bruce Springsteen. That song is just like always raising my spirits.
That's cool.
Did you have something to say?
completely separate from what we're talking about, but
Okay. Then I mean, this is gonna sound like really bad, but "Drunk" by Ed Sheeran. The lyrics are not like complete.
Okay.
Only the first like bar is related to being drunk. The rest is not.
okay.
It's just about waking up
first
after
bar.
being
No
drunk.
judgment. No judgment.
No
If it
judgment.
makes you happy, then who
Fine.
cares? You
It's
know?
a happy song.
One
okay?
song, one
I'm
song
not
that
gonna lie.
makes me always smile, especially if I'm watching the video, is Sarah Bareilles' "Brave,"
Oh yeah.
and it's just
that's
it
such a
just
happy
makes you
song.
smile, and it's about something. And who are you pointing to, Aaron? Josh.
Yeah, so I just wanted to like they asked how can people choose how they feel. I think it's everyone's own personal journey how they get there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's really it could be one step for someone, it could be 10 steps for someone else, and I think for myself I've taken some courses in ontology specifically, and they have the concept that emotions and feelings or whatever aren't real and they're not reality, because you could be like, we've all had this moment where we're like at a party or something and you should be happy, but out of for no reason you're just sad for no reason. And if something's not 100% true, it's not real. So I would just say, like, if you're sad, like what Ryan was saying, it's the initial primary response to something, and you can choose beyond that, like, am I going to be happy in this moment, or like realizing that it's not necessarily what's in front of you that's making you that way. It's just some biological response or something to some stimulus that was in front of you.
Anybody here use gratitude?
Like a gratitude journal.
Just when you're feeling sad, mad, angry, or any negative emotion, just kind of say, all right, stop this train. What am I grateful for? And I just find that to be really helpful.
Yeah.
That's a good tool for a lot of
Kenneth?
people.
The thing that I was going to say is just that make sure not to trick yourself into believing the fact that emotions are just emotions and they come about, and if you're angry, then you're angry and there's nothing you can do about it, because the second that you let yourself believe that, that's when issues are going to start coming up. Try your best, like, even if you don't believe it, and even if like it doesn't work all the time, believing that you have the choice to make yourself happy when you're going through a tough situation is way better than believing that it's like nothing you can do about it when you're sad.
Yeah, that you control it rather than it controls you.
Yeah.
Oh, Maddie.
And if you're a non-believer but you want to change it anyway, then fake it till you make it is like super real.
Yes.
Because if you're like really like if you're super sad about something and your family's like just why, like, please, like, stop this, you can just be like, you know what, fine, like, I'll pretend to be happy for you, whatever. And inside you're just like all angsty about pretending to be happy, and you get to like relish in the pretending of the being happy, but and then eventually you like forget that you're pretending to be happy. Like after a few days you're like,
Am I?
whoa, where did the pretending go? I'm actually happy. And then
Yeah.
you just kind of like forget it, and it works. And Josh.
Well, kind of going off what Kenneth was saying about if you notice you're angry, like, oh, I'm just going to be angry. And like, I think at the end of the day, like if you notice, once you notice you're feeling something, that's when you have the power to choose what you're going to feel from that point forward. I think most of feelings come from something happens in front of you or something occurs, and then you make it like a failure or something, and then you make it mean something about yourself. And whatever you make it mean about yourself is what that feeling is coming from. So if someone says like to you that that you shouldn't have done something, then you make it mean you're stupid, then you're going to feel bad. But like you have the power to know that you're not stupid, then you can immediately get rid of that feeling like right away. So, Ryan?
Yeah, if I can, I agree with what you're saying. If I can backtrack to Maddie's answer and then also kind of draw a different analogy, I disagree with you, Maddie, about the fake it till you make it concept. I think with really small problems in life, that goes a long way. I think if you're nervous about a job interview, you can go into it with a false sense of confidence, and that'll make you become confident. But I think that with major traumas in your life, it's important that you really address them head on. And a lot of times people can confuse and blur the fine line between fake it till you make it and suppressing your emotions. And one of them works really well, and one of them is incredibly dangerous. And it's a hard distinction to draw, but I just want to make sure that that's discussed. And then the other thing I was going to say, where I was talking about everyone having, and you guys mentioned it too, everyone kind of having their own way that they work through it. There's no formula. For me, it's like when you are trying to get out of bed in the morning and you're really tired, your alarm goes off and you're like, okay, on 3, I'm going to move my legs. And you think it, and then your legs don't move. I'll be sitting there, I'm sad, and I say, okay, I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to think about the things that are positive, and I try, and it doesn't happen. And so for me, that journey is how to take the thought and put it into action. You know, so for some people, getting up in the morning is easy. For me, I think it, and I can't get my legs to actually move. You know, so that's everyone's journey in that sense is different. So that's where mine is. Maybe someone can relate to that, but that's what I work on, and that's where I try and learn. Jake?
I wanted to start off by agreeing with you, Ryan, that fake it while you make it works in some asterisk situations, especially when it comes to like self-confidence issues. If that's your problem, then pretending to have confidence leads to performing confidently, which leads to being confident in your performance. But again, yeah, there are situations where like if your problem is something else happened to you or something in the world, that's a totally different issue that you cannot solve by faking it till you make it. And on the comment about like, you just set me off with, you said take a deep breath. Breathing exercises work really well. Like you can trick your body into thinking you're in a safe, comfortable place even when you're not.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of different techniques depending on what specifically is making you anxious or upset or worried that you can use simply like to like recenter yourself, because like I don't want to suggest that you eat or that you stay in and you like watch Netflix or you just don't go out, but like you can trick your body into being happy if you wanted to. And it's difficult, but one can do it. Kenneth?
The thing that I was just going to be is just like, be wary when you're around your friends and you're feeling angry or sad, because nobody likes that person when you're all hanging out and they're just there and they're like all sulky and you're like, what's wrong? They're like, nothing. I don't want to bring everybody down. And like, they just do that thing. And it's like, you know, you want to be there for them, but if they don't let you, then it becomes a huge problem and issue. So make sure like if there's something wrong, address it to your friends. Be like, you know, there's something like this, but, you know, I'm going to try to work through it. Or just try to trick yourself to being like, you know what, I'm with friends right now. I can't let my other emotions seep into the way that I act around these people and bring those other people down. Jake?
Ryan?
Jake.
Ken.
That's why I mumbled it, because I didn't
Donkey Shrek. But Jake, I was going to add on to what Jake said about breathing exercises and whatnot. And I always tie things back to sports because that's my thing. But basketball players, when they go to the free throw line and there's 30,000 people around them yelling and screaming things, and a lot is on the line, although really nothing's on the line, but a lot is on the line, everyone has a different thing they do. Some people shake their shoulders, some people close their eyes and take a deep breath. And what they're trying to do is exactly what Jake talked about, which is making yourself comfortable and able to perform well in an incredibly uncomfortable situation. It works, and different things work for different people. Some people like to draw. Some people, like Jake said, like to stay in and relax. I will say one more thing. It's kind of in a different direction. I know Jake wants to bring it back to that, but just to add on, because this question is very, like, as you can see, it has a lot of like thoughts from me and it's close to me. What I was saying about listening to like that voice in my head, when I try and help people, I try and almost act like that voice. And because I hear the voice in my head, but I don't really respect it because it's just my own thoughts. It's like when someone else says it to me, I almost feel an obligation to it. So imagine if you struggle with it the same way I do, that voice in your head that's saying deep breath is someone else. It's someone you owe it to, and because when you just, does that make sense? Because I don't really I respect myself, but I don't respect that little voice that's telling me to slow down. And so when I try and support people, it's like, just work with me, just take one breath, and you just do that and you try and slowly work with. So imagine that you can respect your own voice and your own thoughts in that same way. Jake? Oh, no?
No.
All right, I think we should move on to the next question. I just want to add before we move forward that other people need you to be in a good mood, and so it's exponential. Like so when you guys, Maddie and Jake, were talking about fake it till you make it, if you can just smile at a family member that you just feel like frowning at or just bumping past in the hallway, but if you can just get out of yourself and just be like a little bit friendly, I think that's mood elevating. Just to have a positive exchange with somebody, even if it's really, really short. Jake?
Like, you can be in a bad mood and then have an awesome exchange where you're like, how are you doing today? And they're like, I'm good, how are you? And you just like do like little pleasantries with, like, I don't know, someone working at like the grocery store or something like that. And your entire day like just kind of like flips over. Yeah,
because if you make someone smile, we're human creatures, and it's a sort of biological, our need to connect with one another, and you may not feel like anybody gets your deepest, darkest soul, and maybe they don't, but they need a smile just like everybody else does. And so I think stuff like that is mood elevating, and I just encourage you that if you're feeling sad, to be the friend that someone else needs, and maybe, that will elevate your mood, and maybe that, Jake and I have been talking lately about why are we here? And so he's
oh God,
he wants a scientific explanation.
Do not do this on the podcast.
No, but I'm saying maybe that's why we're here, just to smile at each other.
Do not give me a platform.
Animals
to make
don't
fun
smile.
Of.
Why do humans smile?
Animals don't have the gum structure.
Next
They
question.
just, like, we don't smell each other's butts. They do.
We do the same thing.
How do you know that
We
I do
just
not
call it, like,
smell other people's
handshaking.
butts?
Anyway,
There's a
not
fun-
this
I know
topic.
they want
Hey,
I could if I
fun
wanted
question.
to. I mean, it's
There's
a
so much-
perfectly
so
valid
much-
question.
888-531-7171.
Science and philosophy. Jake and Wheezy square off. All right, next question. I overheard a guy call me a sweet girl and stand up for me when I was bullied. Once we were staring at each other and we held eye contact until he walked out of the room. He doesn't really talk to me, though, and he asked another girl to prom. Why didn't he ask me, Joshua?
I mean, I think you said it. He doesn't really talk to you, so he asked someone else.
Because he didn't want to.
Yeah.
Big thing, it's that if you're nice to someone, it doesn't mean that you like them. Sometimes people, like, a big thing now is that if you just do something nice for someone, they think that you're flirting with them or you like them. Like, make it a society where people can just be nice to each other without having anything attached to it. And so if this guy was nice to you, be like, that was really cool, but don't be like, psh, asshole, didn't ask me to prom. Like, this guy's a jerk. Like, just accept the nice gesture and
I
move
don't
on.
think she thinks he's a jerk. I think she's hurt. And you're helping her understand that just kindness and standing up against a bully doesn't mean we're moving in together.
Yeah.
It's just, there's so many people in the world to be nice to. You can only be dating one person at a time. So don't let this hurt your feelings. It's just simply life.
That's a really good sentence.
I don't know what I just said.
You
but
just said something that was like really like
Put it on
you
a
can
pillow.
only date one person, but you can be nice to like a bunch of people in one day.
Yeah, exactly. So Ryan.
Yeah, there was this girl, and this is tagging onto that, who transferred to Vistamar, or I said my school, like 2 or 3 years ago, and I didn't like her, and she was in my free period, and a lot of people didn't like her. But I didn't want her to feel bad. She was a new student, so I was just really friendly to her. And then one of my friends pulled me aside and was like, she thinks you're into her, like, you need to stop flirting with her. I'm like, I'm not flirting with her. I'm just being a kind face in a crowd of mean faces. And so it's exactly what you're saying, Kenneth, that people take everything one step further than it really is. And a nice gesture is a nice gesture. Be thankful that he did that for you. And that's all it was. And if it's more, but it's not. So, Maddie?
This is like a related sidebar. And I know what this person wants to hear is that he totally should have asked you to prom. How dare he not ask you to prom? What is this? But unfortunately, and this is kind of like a little past the season for it, like people kind of know at this point, but prom is not like the end all, like, you know, apocalypse of school, like, you know, like,
Is it supposed to be the apocalypse of school?
no, but no, but like life goes on after prom. Like
Yeah.
people,
Wow.
like
Okay.
you know, like
Oh
your
God,
social life
prom.
will exist after prom. Like if you didn't get asked to prom by the person who you wanted to, they can still ask you out after prom.
I'm
Like,
here to
this is-
testify that
Yeah.
most of my friends on Facebook who post their prom picture are not currently married to that person.
Right, like it's like life proceeds in school still. Relationships still happen after prom. Your chances are not lost with people forever because of prom. Like even though it happens, it's not the end. Just keep that in mind, Kenneth.
But please don't pursue this guy because it will not work out. Sorry, that's it.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Most
mo-
likely. I don't
or
like.
just become friends with him. Get to know him. He doesn't talk to you.
Friends
talk
exist.
To him.
Friends exist.
Yeah, I think
Friends.
that's a
Yeah.
fair point. Is to say if you went and like he's not going to ask you out today or tomorrow, and you shouldn't ask him out today or tomorrow because you don't
No.
talk to him. But what you said exactly, you can totally talk to the guy and get to know him because that's what
Yes.
getting to know
Yeah,
someone
and
is.
that's what
just
people
because
do.
just because
People.
he asked someone else to prom doesn't mean that he doesn't want to have a conversation with you. There are all kinds of people in the world, and you can only date one person at a time, and friendship is even more valuable than the person you're dating because we need those connections. Josh.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of going back to what I said on the last question. It's similar. Like this person's obviously feeling upset about not being asked out by him, but at the end of the day, like he was nice to you, and what you made it mean was that you were gonna get asked to prom, and now you're upset because that didn't happen. So now that you have the tools to like see and separate that, like you have the choice, like moving forward, like are you still gonna be upset? You can get to know him, like Maddie said, or you can like not get to know him. Just go do you like.
Yeah. Let's just not undervalue the importance of friendship.
Exactly.
It means something. And people aren't sealed at the lips just because they're going to prom together. They still get to have other friends.
Yeah,
We're going to
prom
move on
was
to
not-
the prom is like
the
Maddie
apocalypse.
said, it's not
It
the
was
apocalypse.
the apocalypse at the
Oh,
time.
it's so
but
sad. People make prom their everything.
Ryan, would you read the long question that starts
You
with
know I will,
I know
Weezy.
you will.
I decided to come out to my mom as asexual about a week and a half ago. She really freaked out about it, saying that I shouldn't label myself and that I used to like boys before my father scarred me by leaving our family. After reading more on the asexuality archive, I really truly feel asexual. If the whole business with my father didn't exist, I would be totally sure of myself. But I keep thinking, what if he really did do this to me? If he did, does it still count? I'm 15, but I haven't had a crush since I was 9. What should I do about my mother? How can I cope with these feelings?
A lot
Who
of
has thoughts
questions.
about labeling yourself asexual? Because to me, it feels like you shouldn't have to declare no feelings to your parents. But to you guys, I always learn from you guys that these labels really matter to you. Kenneth.
Yeah, I just two things. I know it really two things. I know it really sucks that your mom is like freaking out like this. It's just that when you're a parent and you get something like this, it's like a big thing, and you always want to like. I guess like I've noticed a lot with my mom when she likes to have a reason, and this is not your mom trying to make like scare you and make you think like, oh, maybe it is my dad. It's just your mom trying to cope with it, and by coping with it, she's creating a reason why. And so that's just my opinion on the fact. May not be true, may be true. And like, if you haven't had a crush since you were 9 and you're 15, that doesn't mean that you're like asexual. It just means that, you know.
You're selective.
But
Yeah.
but should she be able to own that label right now if it makes her feel good about herself?
Of course.
Jake.
Yeah.
I think that this person should be 100% free to use that label. Even if they're not certain in it, they're allowed to. The only reason that your mom's saying maybe don't label yourself is that if you yourself aren't sure, you shouldn't feel pressured into a label that you've assigned yourself. You should feel free to label yourself however you want, but you should also feel free to exist beyond labels if you want to. Ryan?
Yeah, exactly. Well, don't let that label confine you if you're not sure. So if you decide today, yeah, you know what, I really am confident that I'm asexual, and tomorrow you wake up crushing on someone, don't say, nah, that can't be real, I'm asexual. Just go with the flow and allow yourself to just experience each day for what it is. Maddie?
Yeah, I was just going to say labels aren't permanent. So just as long as you feel like it's a label that you can kind of have control over, just make sure that the label doesn't have control over you. that you can kind of you can own it in the way that makes it so that it's yours and you can have domain over it and move it the way that it fits you best.
Mhm.
Josh.
Yeah, and adding on to that, like you say, ask how can I cope with these feelings of the questions you have, like what if he really did do this to me? Like someone can't make you or make your sexuality, like only you have that power. So I think like what she said, like you can only really be that one person to choose for yourself. So
Yeah. Labels can be peeled off. And also, like, the thing what you were saying is that, like, remember the huge thing is that, like, you control yourself. Like, just remember that. A lot of people get mixed up in, like, trying to get reasons and blame other people. And, like, your actions are your actions. And, yeah, if someone crashes into your car, it's out of your control. You're going to be mad. But what you do based on that is in your control.
So I just want to make a couple of points from the adult perspective. So when you come out and say something to your mom, I'm this, your mom has way too much at stake. Like she's now projecting, oh, my daughter's going to be alone and lonely and unhappy and I'm not going to have any grandchildren. Like she's thinking way too far forward. And then she's thinking, and it's my fault because I married the wrong guy and the wrong guy was her dad and this guy walked out and it's my fault and I scarred her. So your mom may not be the first person you should tell these things to because moms and dads have so much at stake. It's not just casual information to them. They feel responsible for what you've just told them. And the other thing is if you think that maybe you're feeling asexual because you're afraid of men or you're afraid of being left, then go speak to a therapist about it. So there's all kinds of options. And as Maddie was saying, nothing has to be permanent. It's always fluid how we feel every day. Jake.
Go speak to a therapist about anything all the time.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be like if you work
Everyone
out on
should
this
have
side,
a
just like straight up therapist anytime ever you feel you want to. Just want to
Yeah,
make
and
that
the
point.
other thing I wanted to say is like if you say, "Oh, well, my dad made me asexual," we are all our natural personalities as they intersect with our experiences. Nobody lives in a bubble, just their own personality, like not walking through the world. We each walk through the world. Stuff happens that's going to inform and impact your personality and who you choose to love or not. So don't sit there and cry me a river because, oh, your dad left you and therefore you can't love. You can be and do whoever you want, but you just acknowledge like this happened. It may have impacted me. Maybe I need to talk to somebody. And let's figure myself out so that you're totally comfortable with who you are, Ryan.
I agree with that, and I agree with what was said that people outside of you can't define or make your sexuality what it is. But even if we were to afford that to someone who believed that, it doesn't matter. So if you can confidently say I'm asexual, it doesn't matter whether it's had anything to do with your father or not at all. You just, if you can be comfortable with that, you're comfortable with that. It doesn't matter why, you know.
Oh no! My reaction was just about a question that I feel like we should cover.
Okay,
That's really
go ahead.
important.
You can read that question.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to like.
No,
just
we're
like
ready.
go
That
off
was
what
the
you
end
were
of it.
saying,
Yeah,
Ryan.
we're ready to
But
move on. Go.
There's
That
a
was the end of it.
question that like really concerns me, and
Okay.
I feel like someone should do something about it. So the question says, is it that bad that my boyfriend keeps calling me annoying? If I laugh too much, or if I ask normal questions, he calls me annoying. Sometimes he will hang up on me, and I'll call back later to say goodnight, and he would be like, "What the f do you want? You're effing annoying." End question.
Ryan.
There are a lot of layers to this question, so I understand why Kenneth was extremely urged to bring it up. Before the show, I discussed this with Jake, and I am an annoying person. You might not get that from the show,
I can confirm that.
but I am.
I'm shocked.
And I'm so cool with that. It's unbelievable. Because we're all annoying people. Because what is annoying is a boundary set by the person who's annoyed, not by the person who's doing anything. And it's always
Wow.
shatters people's reality when they find out that they're annoying someone. And so, and it blows my mind because people tell me I'm annoying them and I'm like, okay, yeah, I probably am. And I can either choose to just accept that I'm annoying or respect the person who's telling me that and not do it. But it doesn't like make me feel ashamed of anything because it's them. It's not me. It's what I'm doing is making them uncomfortable. My dad's a very isolated person. So just talking to him annoys him. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just having a conversation. But I just have accepted and I can work around that. I can annoy him if I need to communicate to him, or I can accept that I can not talk to him. And both are okay options in certain circumstances.
Yeah, so I want to address what Ryan said first. That it's always weird how I disagree with you so strongly before the show, and you get to the show and you talk all rational like, and then I agree with you.
And then I go and annoy you.
Yes. But it is similar to Louis C.K.'s bit about being a jerk, that like you don't decide that. The people who tell you you're being a jerk do. However, this is a different circumstance because if someone gets annoyed by you doing perfectly rational relationshipy things,
Then they're
like
not the partner for
laughing
you.
at the things they say, or like asking general questions, or calling them to say goodnight, which is just like a sweet, inherently
That's
good
so
thing.
messed
Then
up.
they're not a
Like,
good partner for you.
Yeah,
When
not-
I read that,
yeah, they're not the person that
That's
you
the
should
next layer,
be
exactly.
near, because if they're annoyed by you, not only is that hurting you, but like it's hurting them clearly too. This
Right.
isn't a thing.
So this person writes to me often about this relationship, and it's an ungood relationship. It's destructive and it's abusive on many emotional levels. And so you don't date someone to be told you're annoying. And even if you are annoying, there's another way to say that to your beloved than using the word annoying. So right there, that's abusive to begin with. We're going to jump to the phone call. Matthew?
Yes.
Who do we have? Hello. Thanks for calling Journals. Who's this?
Hi, I'm an old member of Super Pandas.
Supa! How are you?
Hey,
How-
I'm doing well.
Really?
I actually wanted. Yeah, sorry.
No, I want to hear all about you. Go ahead.
TBT.
Oh, I actually wanted to take a. We'll kind of talk about the past question about asexuality.
Fantastic. Talk.
Okay, so I don't identify as fully asexual. Like, I identify as gray asexual, and I think some good advice for whoever sent the question in would be like, definitely don't think you have to label yourself. I've been like trying to figure out my sexuality for like 4 years, and even I'm still not sure. But like, it's definitely confirming to find validating would be a better word, like a label for yourself to like say, okay, there's other people who feel like this, but they shouldn't necessarily feel pressured that, oh, I don't have to fit into a label, and there's probably a bunch of other people feeling like this who can't find a label for it.
No, that's
But if,
that's so well said. And I just want to point out that you guys are pretty much the first generation of kids that got to see this list of labels and know that they weren't alone. Like, so many generations of people have lived on planet Earth and been in adolescence going, what the heck is wrong with me? and so you guys get to experience this. Oh, that's fantastic. But don't, like Maddie was saying, like, don't say, well, then this is what I've been assigned by the city. And so, you know, I'm going to get it tattooed on my forehead. You know, it is very fluid, and you, as you go through life and have different experiences, you may decide, oh, well, you know what, I think I have a crush, and that's perfectly okay. Who wanted to talk, Aaron?
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, there's some things that, like, if you think about stuff a lot, you're gonna go crazy for, like, how do these lights work? How do computers work? How does even a TV work? Like, you're gonna lose your
Jake
mind.
can answer
No,
that.
but like
And-
we know those things
I know,
already.
but
That's a weird
Let me
comparison.
finish my point.
Okay.
You know those things.
Yeah.
Kenneth is in the dark.
Society
When the
knows
lights-
those
Well, the
things, but
lights are on,
Kenneth,
but-
I don't know, but
Oh,
okay.
that's
What I'm,
proceed.
please continue.
what I'm trying to say here is that, like, you know, we're here and we're presented this list of labels, and like, I haven't, to be honest, like, I personally haven't looked at the labels, but if I like read through them, like, I might lose my, like, reading through all of them, and you're like, what does this mean? What does this mean? Like, if you read things and you feel like you have to identify yourself in one of these, you're gonna go insane.
But you know what? Like, I'm a married lady, a grown-up married lady, and when I read the lists, I'm like, oh, I didn't know that could be a thing. That probably would have been what I said at 15. And so it's really cool to know that there's so many different things that are considered acceptable. As long as you're not harming anyone, it's all very acceptable.
Yeah.
Jake.
Yeah, I think that the new age, and I do strongly believe this is an internet thing that's allowed us to communicate so well for the first time ever, of generating a ton of new labels. I think that's natural, given that there's a ton of different kinds of people. But again, no one fits perfectly into any label that they fit into. Like, these labels are like arbitrary boxes we're trying to put people in, whereas everyone is just kind of scattered in all these different categories. And like, thinking that there's this false dichotomy between you have to be this thing, you have to not be this thing. You're allowed to be this thing some of the time. You're allowed to be it temporarily.
like
you're
we're all
allowed to be
these-
it whatever.
We're all these dots on a spectrum, and we're kind of like floating.
We're using a histogram to approximate that, and it's not working well enough. We have to make either an infinite number of boxes or no boxes. Ryan?
Wow.
Yeah, have the pillow
Now
phrase.
I'm as confused as Kenneth is about the lights.
Well, I have
Did I say histogram and make you scared? What?
I have the wheezy pillow phrase for what you were saying, but it was just
Go.
the only label that will always fit you is you.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We're going to let you
You
go.
know what?
Super Pandas, we're going to let you go. And
What?
thank you so much for checking in with us. And
Yeah.
I
definitely.
really
Bye.
appreciate you reminding everyone that it's a journey. It's,
Yeah,
it's
thank
never
you.
one
Mhm.
exact
That was
destination.
glad
Thank you
you
so much
called.
for calling. Is there another question you needed to address?
Oh no, I was like, space. That's confusing.
That's what I was going to say, is
There.
go for something about space. We know nothing
Wow.
about
we know
space.
nothing about space, and if I really put in the effort, I could know how lights work. Okay,
Yeah, I
but
know.
space is
That's what I'm
confusing.
telling-
Jake and
yeah,
I
I-
used to stay up till like 3 a.m, and he would try and explain to me in layman's terms the concept of nothingness in space, and it just
Black holes.
It's now
insane.
gotten crazier because at the subatomic level, everything is both existing and canceling each other out at the exact same time. Anyway, Maddie?
Oh wow.
I
He'd
want
say
to
these
read.
things, and
This
I couldn't
is
go to
so
sleep.
much
I
fun.
want to. I want to
I'm
read
just-
the last question because we've got 6 minutes, and I think the last question is kind of a good one about.
Can I just make one comment about the second?
Yes.
Yeah. So my friends all come to me because for some reason they think I'm their therapist.
I
but, like,
would, if I were your friend, I would come
Right.
to you, right?
I don't know how to feel about that, but I'm gonna.
You're
talk
the
about,
me. You're the me of your age group.
Sure.
That's
but
a
I
compliment.
Oh.
But I know both of you, and I go to you.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
So, point is that like I avoid saying "end this now" when people are talking about their relationships because it's just never good to tell people stuff. You want to like help them come to the conclusion that they were gonna come to by themselves anyway. But with this, end it now. This
Right.
is not
That's
good.
what I was
And
gonna.
I-
This
yeah.
is not
Thank you for
good.
saying
End
that.
it now. Like this is just not. There's nothing good about
Right,
this.
so I
End
get-
it
I-
now.
Just so you guys know, if you go in the app and look under Ask Wheezy, there's a history of questions from this girl, and there's just nothing good about this relationship. I think she wants to have the courage to end it now.
And if
Yeah.
if you're afraid to end it, you need to go find somebody who can help you do this because you're reaching a point where it needs to happen just like very like now soon.
And like,
Now soon.
I know how like there's some things where you're like, oh, there's this one good thing that happened.
No.
So
Yeah.
it all cancels out and works out. But like, there's some times where if something has happened in the first place, that means it should end.
Yeah, even if he makes pudding pie,
Like
It's
every
not
Friday
enough.
gives you a Kit Kat. Like
To
Yeah,
quote
it's
Megan
not
Trainor,
enough.
no.
no. All right, the last question. It reads, when I was in middle school, I was a loser. I was shy and afraid of the crowd, so I always kept myself away from it. I moved away, but after graduating high school, I'm coming back to the place where I went to middle school for college. It's silly of me to be so self-conscious, but I keep thinking, what if people recognize me in college and still think I'm a loser? I was made fun of back then, so I'm scared of meeting the same people in college. As this is quite a small town, I feel like I'll never be good enough, and people will always make fun of me. So we have so much to tell you about this because none of the kids who are your age are remotely anything like they were in middle school. Who wants to talk? Ryan.
Yeah, no, you're right. But at the same time, people who knew you before and haven't seen you in a long time will absolutely have notions of who you are now. And
Based on middle school?
absolutely.
Really?
Because that's all they have to go by. If you
Yeah.
meet someone, it's just you have a memory. If
well,
you,
that's
if,
super bad.
if you don't see, if you don't see someone for 30 years, or 5 years or 10 years, the last memory you have of what they were is what you're going to assume they are until they show you otherwise. And it doesn't mean that you should hate them. It doesn't mean you shouldn't talk to them. It doesn't mean you have to prove everyone wrong. Just do you, and slowly their ideas of who you are will change into seeing who you are now, the same way they slowly became what they were when they saw who you were in middle school.
Yeah, I mean, I agree to some extent. I don't think it will be slowly. I think that since it has been a long period of time, that those mentalities are quickly able to change since
That's
it
true.
has been a longer period of time, especially since it was middle school and then now you're in college. I think that you have every opportunity right now to show them who you are in the moment in time, and that's who they're going to relate to. Jake?
I'm hoping that with the additional context of you growing up and knowing more about people and you realize that the people who made fun of you were jerks, and that just as that you're trying to show them that you're like a put together, confident person now, they should owe you to show you that they're not jerks anymore. Like it's not just one way.
Let
That
them prove
exists,
something to
too.
you.
Yeah, let them show
That
you that they're
actually happens.
reasonable people. Kind of.
And I was gonna say like, the thing is that sometimes like I've gone through the same struggles before where like I've known a group of people when I was younger and I was like, and people are jerks, but then like later like and you're like, oh, am I ever gonna find like a group of people that have like the same like thought process or like think the same things that I think are funny? Like, am I gonna meet that group of people? And the answer is like yes. Like I know these people are jerks and you feel like, oh man, I'm a loser, but like there are people out there who will think you're the coolest person ever, and these people.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. I said that.
The cat's meow.
The cat's pajamas.
You guys are so 30s. I love it. Josh.
Yeah, while it's likely that they still have some sort of like who you are in their head, you also have some responsibility of going in the situation like they were in middle school and being jerked to. That doesn't necessarily mean they're a jerk now, so don't treat them as if they're that person now either, because that's only going to create the same situation over again. You have a full opportunity right now to have a clean slate and do something new with these people, and I think that's what you need to do.
Yeah, because probably 80% of people have their share of jerky moments in middle school, since we all know that middle school is really mean. So a lot of people would love to undo any of that. So you showing up may be a gift to them. And so just be friendly. You can kind of like be self-deprecating about the guy or the person you were in middle school and just be like, I was a goofy one, and laugh it off, and then just be yourself and be a friendly face, because everyone needs to see a friendly face. I want to thank everyone on the panel, and I want to thank everyone listening. We are Journals Network. This show is Journals Out Loud. Please subscribe and friend us and like us and follow us and give us good reviews. And I've given you a lot of work to do, but I think you're up to it because you're just our amazing, best new friend. And I honestly mean we're going to do everything together from now on, okay? Please get that tattooed in henna on your forehead. Put it up on Instagram, and I don't think there's anything we can't do together.
What's the number again?
Oh, it's 888-531.
888-531-7171.
Thank you. Now I remember.
And next week we'll sing the phone number for you. So thanks for being with us. We'll see you next time. Bye.